पंडित जी कहाँ?
पंडित जी बर्तन धो रहे हैं, कल की तैयारी कर रहे हैं, सत्तर लोग।
अच्छा
ठीक है।
कौन?
टोपी
आज नहीं, दुनिया को पीना है।
Tushar was able to take attendance. No, what happened? Because everybody's not present. Tushar?
He asked me to write all the names down for him, but I was like, I didn't quite have enough time for that.
Tushar,
So.
we just had to take it from the kitchen, from the coffee stand.
Oh, from the menu?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You didn't take it.
इधर से ले ले। Dining, dining.
You're not a good student, Tushar.
You're not a good monitor.
How can you tell the teacher to do
He's a
your work?
professor.
Huh?
What type of management?
Vidyashwari?
Okay, I take attendance tomorrow, but today, please raise the hand who is absent.
Sit down.
Is from the of the ashramites.
Oh, I have it on my desk. Yes, I have to update it. You know the mail count?
Yeah.
When you see, yeah.
Okay.
So good morning everyone and welcome to day 4 of the Sattvik cooking class. Only one more day to go.
Whatever on day third.
What?
Whatever on day third.
We were traveling to Australia.
Day 3rd was uncooked yesterday. What did I say?
You said day 4.
Yeah.
Oh.
But there was no food.
Oh, but that was the greatest blessing of all, was the anakut, to have that immersed right in the middle of it so that we could all experience the beautiful puja, the worship of food directly through all of the mantras and to Lord Krishna, and also to witness always the beautiful welcoming of all the sweet and savories that are made by the community, that are made by people local and far away. And everything brought here so that it reaches everybody, as Mary Sue said, with lots of love and lots of Shakti, and to put your heart into whatever it is that you're cooking or baking. So here, what we have in front of us is we have all of the plates that will get distributed today to our local banks, our mechanics, our stewards who provide our milk, the farm milk that Gopi picks up all the time for the ashram, the fresh milk. The lawyers' offices, the insurance offices. It goes far and wide from usually Newburgh to Montgomery, to the town, to our assessor's office, to our building department, all the people who grant us all the permissions to do all what we do here. So everyone during this occasion is always acknowledged, and they always, when we walk in there, they're always so excited when they see the fall color, the colorful fall plates with all the sweet and savories, and they just get so excited and they say, "Here, it's here, come, come, come," and then they all open it like right away and start nibbling on it. So little do they know that they're getting all those jewels of joy and love, and from all of the people here who make it all happen. So that will happen today, little by little, some today, some tomorrow, and some on Saturday. So with that, what I wanted to do was make sure that we always take care of our very own, and sometimes in the midst of everything, we do it for everyone, but we need to also make sure that we take care of that for ourselves too, and that the distribution doesn't slip away. So we have everybody's own anakut packets here. So we usually, for everybody who's in residence, We hand give it so that saves on the postage and it doesn't go to anybody's houses that it doesn't need to. And then everybody has the joy of their own little snack prasad with you, so that you can nibble on it as and when you wish. Gurdev said to me, won't that attract the mice? I said, once a year it's okay. Not every day, but once a year it's fine. So, and then probably, good night.
Should we nibble right away? Should we nibble right away?
And at the end, raise your hand if you don't receive a prasad packet, please.
Extra spicy for you?
No. We are gluten free.
Where's Anita? Okay.
She's doing
Uploading or something?
Yeah, that's thank for it.
Okay.
It's not gluten free.
Thank you.
Should we nibble or wait?
I would probably say not to nibble in class, only so that we don't create a bunch of distractions, or,
And the mice
but we can have it at tea time, sure. Tea time, bring it, lunchtime, bring it, but just to maintain our focus of where we are and what's next on the agenda. Can anybody guess what we might be covering in today's class? No, don't. Make it somebody who doesn't know what it is.
Tushar.
What? Who doesn't know what?
Tushar.
Somebody who doesn't know, so I can see if anybody remembers from the previous days when I said what we're going to cover during the week. Yes, Jayashree.
We're going to do magic?
Yes, we're going to do magic. Yep, magic every day, but today we are going to cover what is known as the masala dabbar, and we're going to go into the details of the masalas and their purpose, and we're going to go into more of them than just the main ones right here. And for those of you who have kitchens, or those of you who have homes, we're going to send you home with a dabbar just like this. So those are all here now, and as you can imagine, I can't wait to fill every single one of them so that tomorrow everybody gets to take home their own masala dabbar, so that can inspire you and encourage you with Indian cooking and not to be afraid of it or intimidated by it. So what I thought we would do to make it like an interactive process is I'm going to pass out the sheets. Again, at the end of class, for those of you who want, you can give them back to me so I can slip them into your folders that everybody's going to get tomorrow, all your jewels of cooking. But for now, I was going to pass them all out, and it says Spice Up Your Life. That's the name of it, provided by Rocky, Dr. Rocky at Magode. And so then what we'll do is we'll take turns, and each one can read one of the spices, their property, the advantages of them, and the comment of them. And after each one, I'm also going to read what Baba says on each spice, because I think we'll find it all very illuminating and very full of great wisdom and not to be missed. So, so maybe you can pass this out one to each person. And we'll have fun exploring all of the different spices. And then what we'll do is we'll talk about the magics and what the basic ones are, those which include onions and garlic and those which don't. And then we'll have a chance to talk about that a little bit, and then we'll move towards the kitchen. And then this morning on today's menu, we'll be having the demonstration of tofu scramble, and then along with lunch, so we'll have our tofu scramble and toast, organic toast with butter. That'll be our lunch for today. But the idea is to get a breakfast item on there. I don't think we've had one yet. So we'll do that. And then that'll conclude this morning's portion of the class. And then this afternoon we have pecan toffee bars by Cheryl, Dave's wife Cheryl. So we'll be having those this afternoon. And just by a show of hands, just to help with the planning for this afternoon, we have two choices of what the afternoon drink can be today. And that'll be with these little pecan toffee squares. So we either have masala milk with ground pistachios and nuts and all of that, or we have the lemon, ginger, and honey. So how many people, these are the two choices. So just by a show of hands, I'm just going to do each one, and then whatever the majority is, that's what we'll go with for this afternoon. So how many people would like to see how to make the masala milk? Raise your hand high so I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many people would like to go with the ginger, lemon, and honey tea? Okay, it didn't look like everybody's got their hands up. Okay, so we definitely, we definitely will go with the lemon and the ginger and the honey. And then tomorrow afternoon we'll go with the masala milk, maybe with the chocolate chubbies by Gina. So that's what we'll do for tomorrow. So, so let us begin with Spice Up Your Life and the great benefits of all the spices that we use in cooking. First, I'm going to start with some words from Baba just about the spices themselves. So, the spices. Baba loves spices, particularly the hot ones. A lot of the flavor of his food is in the spices, but the real reason he uses them is that they're good for you. Spices are like herbs. Baba has said they have medicinal powers. He said that coriander and cumin seeds will cure a fever. Ginger is good to get rid of gas. And chili peppers, well, chili peppers may be one of the best foods you can eat. There is hardly a dish Baba cooks that doesn't contain chili peppers in some form or another. They and mustard seeds are the two essential spices in Baba's food. They and mustard seeds are the two essential spices in Baba's food. There are many others that he uses frequently. There are two general categories of spices which he uses: sweet spices and everything else. Sweet spices are cardamom, cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. When they're ground, they go into sweet cereal, tea, coffee, fruit salad, puddings, sweet vegetables, and bean dishes. Anything that's sweet. Baba sometimes cooks with whole sweet spices too. On special feast days, he often adds whole cardamom pods or cinnamon sticks to the grain as it goes into the water. The other spices Baba adds in almost any combination to almost anything else. The spices are very easy once you've worked with them a little. Chandra said, I add basically the same set of spices to the cereal that I do to the vegetables, and I'll put the same thing in the soup or a sandwich spread. Baba often cooks with whole spices, roots and seeds and leaves. They are either sautéed or ground before they're added to the food, or else they're boiled a little after they're added. You have to do something to whole spices before they give off their fragrance and flavor. Ground spices can be added to cooked food at the last minute. In fact, it's better if they're not cooked. Did everybody get that? Ground spices can be added to cooked food at the last minute. In fact, it's better if they're not cooked. They can lose their flavor easily. There are some descriptions of how Baba cooks with spices later in this book. If you want to use his spices yourself and you aren't familiar with them, here are some tips. Don't buy them all. Start with a few spices: chilies, garlic, ginger, mustard seeds, maybe cumin seeds, turmeric, the sweet spices, and some garam masala. Then get to know those spices. use them, combine them. After you're well acquainted with them, then you can start getting more spices, one at a time. Don't buy a lot. Spices lose their flavor in time, so it's best to buy in small quantities. They will stay fresh longer too if you buy them whole and grind them yourself as you need them. Some of Baba's spices are available at any supermarket, but others, particularly the whole spices, you'll have to buy from the Indian spice stores. Be forewarned, Indian spices, this is probably more true then than it is now. Be forewarned, Indian spices must be cleaned before they're used. Just spread the spice out on a tray and pick out the hunks of mud, rocks, sticks, and off-color seeds by hand. These days, mostly everything we get with all Patel Brothers and all the wonderful stores that are coming up all over, usually everything is very, very well cleaned, so you don't have to go to that process. When you're cooking, add less, rather more. You can always put in a little more spice, but once you've added too much, it's hard to correct the slip. Spices can really take over a dish, and often they have a very unpleasant, bitter flavor when they're overused. If you do overspice, don't throw the food away. Back to you can add lemon juice, chopped onion, and or breadcrumbs to cut the spice. Or you can put the dish aside and add it in small quantities to other food. Here is a brief description of the individual spices Baba most often uses. The English name is given first with the Hindi name in parentheses. Some spices will be called by their Hindi names in this book because the Hindi is easier to say. Those have been indicated. So I think what we'll do is we'll start with Gurudev first, on the first item there. And he can share the spice, the property, the advantages, and the comments. And then we'll just take turns going around. But after each one, I'll just share Baba's words on that particular spice. So, okay, Gurudev.
Black mustard, very tiny looking things. Property, heating. Advantages, appetizer, worm infestation. And
You can elaborate on that.
Right?
Go ahead, yeah.
Devani asked, what is worm infestation? So I looked it up.
I knew what it meant within stomach, but I was like, wow.
Actually, I was amazed myself also because more Western websites came up with worm infestation than Ayurveda or Indian. And they talked about raw meat mostly for that. That's one of the possibilities of worm infestation. And so anybody who's more curious can look it up. Google has quite a few pages on worm infestation. We've actually had this in India a couple of times now from salads or raw foods. Sometimes if they're not washed properly, the worm that goes into the brain. And then the two different boys have had it, maybe from the ashram or from their home, I don't know. Then you have to be on pills for a long time. So black mustard seed, and this is why I have been hit before by Baba, so I know not so much about the qualities of it, but that the oil has to be warm or hot, however you describe it, so that they pop when you put it in. Because if the oil is cold, it will not pop and it will burn. Okay? And then the thing is that the mustard seed must pop for the thing to happen. And when the mustard seed pops, then the next thing that goes in, which is usually having jeera or cumin, has to also be ready to go in so that it doesn't burn after it pops. So that's my direct experience. Comments to be used in moderation for pitta. Pitta is people with fire in their system, and also to be used in moderation in hot weather. Thank you.
Thank you, And Baba says, mustard seeds, which are also known as rye. So again, everybody will get to see this when we come to the kitchen, but they're the little teeny round black mustard seeds, right? They also have them in a little bit of a larger size as well.
And I think there's white also, right? Is there white also that?
Yellow.
Yellow.
Yellow? Okay, sorry.
And Baba says, mustard seeds are included in almost every vegetable and bean dish Baba makes. And he puts them into a lot of the soups and chutneys as well. He always sautés them before he uses them. The seeds Baba uses are small, black, and round. Yellow seeds are not an adequate substitute, and the seeds that aren't round should be removed from the spice before you use it. To clean mustard seeds, remove one side from a cardboard box, put the seeds in the box, and place a large tray underneath. Then pick up the box and shake it slightly so the seeds bounce about ½ an inch in the air, and tilt it slightly so they bounce toward the opening in the box. We don't have to be doing that, we're lucky. Those that end up on the tray are round. Those that stay in the box aren't. Of course, any twigs and stones will stay in the box too. Mustard seeds are good for appetite and digestion, but only when eaten in moderation. So who would like to go second? Raise your hand if you would like to call out the next item. Somebody come on, please go ahead. Thank you, Corinne.
No problem. Danya seeds. That's the spice. The property is cooling. The advantages are it improves anyi, which is digestive fire, without increasing heat. Good for urine infections, swelling in the body as it increases urine flow. Helps bind stools in diarrhea. Comments? A decoction of 2 teaspoons danya and 1 teaspoon sun, which is dry ginger powder, boiled in water, is beneficial during fever.
Thank you. And Baba says fresh coriander is also known as cilantro, Italian parsley and Chinese parsley. And we all know, for those of us who have had parsley, Chinese parsley, and cilantro, there is quite a difference. Although the leaves always look the same, and when you go to the grocery store, big difference in the fragrance and in the flavor. It looks like parsley, but it has a flavor all its own. Baba often uses it as a garnish, chopping it and sprinkling it over the top of a dish. And the only other thing that I would add, so that's on regular danya, and then on the actual coriander seeds, Baba also uses coriander seeds, which he calls whole coriander, and coriander powder, which is crushed coriander seeds. The seed pods are fairly large, pale brown, and round. They have a milder flavor than fresh coriander. Baba sometimes adds coriander seeds to the grain when he boils it, but otherwise he always grinds coriander seeds before he uses them. They're just too big to just saute them before you add them to the food. They're available at Indian spice stores. Coriander seeds are good for the appetite and digestion. And the only thing that I would add here that I've learned from Gurudev is that if you have like an eye infection in your eyes, or your eyes are like burning, or there's like a lot of redness from travel or from lack of sleep or anything like that, if you take the whole danya seeds and you soak them like in a little teeny tiny like a little piece of fabric, like a little cheesecloth kind of thing, and then you soak them overnight and you put them in like one of those little dishes or a ramekin type of thing. The next day, the water from those seeds, if you put that in your eye like with an eyedropper or like eye drops, totally clears up any type of eye infection. And that's been used, like, we've seen that like many places for many, many years. So keep that always as like a little thing in the back of your head, like little the danya seeds, and just soak them overnight. So right?
Good for conjunctivitis.
Good for conjunctivitis. So that's another plus point for those of you guys who are writing it down.
30 minutes also is enough.
30 minutes is also enough.
Okay, soaking.
Soaking, yeah. Who would like to go to the third one? Yes, Jayashri.
Jira. Its property is cooling. Advantages. Appetizer. Improves Agni, digestive fire, without increasing heat. Helps bind stools and diarrhea. Comments. Dry roasting leads to loss of volatile oils, therefore to be avoided. Use in tadka is good as an active principle getting absorbed into the oil.
Okay, thank you, Jayashri. So tadka, that is the same name when we talk about the magic. So in English we say the magic of when we do the variation of the spices within the oil. Then in Gujarati they say vagar. And then tadka is the word in Hindi which you mostly hear in the north. So these are the 3 words. So if somebody says, oh, what do you use in your tarka? It's like, what do you use in your magic? What do you use in your vagar? It's like, what, the same thing. What is your combination? Because everybody, according to whatever dishes they make, they change the magic of it.
Forni, Marathi.
And in Marathi,
Forni.
Forni, with an F.
Dirty.
Forni. Forni. So that's another new word that I just learned just this moment. Stay tuned. Anybody know it in Italian? Spanish? Chonk. Oh, that's another one, yeah, chonk. So there's many different words to take us to the same thing. So in English, the magic. That's it.
That's the word created in City Yoga.
That word was in City Yoga, and even in the book. Yeah. And like in here.
Tempering, huh? In English, it also says tempering.
Yeah.
What?
Tempering.
Tempering, yeah.
Like if you look at
That's
it.
what in the recipes it
Yeah.
says temper.
But we were always told this is what you use in the magic. Yeah. That was always the terminology. And Baba says cumin. Cumin seeds look and smell a little like caraway seeds. They're one of Baba's favorite spices. They can either be ground or sauteed or else boiled a little. They are a mild stimulant, good for digestion. So it looks like everything that we're talking about with the spices, everything's good for the digestion and the agni. So who would like to go next?
I just want to say whoever wants to buy the new book, Nature's Pantry has the best dhania, dhania and jeera.
Dhania and jeera.
They have the best dhania jeera powder we have ever shown.
So Nature's Pantry down in New Windsor, the new one over there that moved from room 208 or 17K, go to that one. They have the best, and is it organic?
I don't know, but we just love the fragrance.
Okay.
All the spices are good.
Right? All their spices are good. Yeah, right? Pretty much.
Must be, right? 'Cause
Yes.
You would hope so, yeah.
But it's
Okay.
expensive.
It's expensive, okay. So next, who would like to go next? Sita?
Spice, methi seeds.
Wait, Laura, you know what?
No.
Two
Oh, you
up
going
after
next?
Jiro.
Oh, okay.
The next one after Jiro.
Spice, hing, property, methi. I'm sorry, heating.
What is that?
Spice, hing,
Mm-hmm.
property, heating.
Okay.
Advantages. Heat in morning.
Helps.
Sorry.
in
Helps in
normal-
morning.
Peristalsis.
It's a hard one.
What is that?
Peristalsis.
It's this.
Peristalsis.
It's what happens in your,
Can somebody tell me what that word means actually?
It's a muscle motion, like a
muscle-
necessary
muscle.
food goes down.
Well, it's actually the movement of your bowels.
that's what it is.
They
Yeah.
contract and
Contracts.
expand so the food moves through your body.
Okay. So helps in normal peristalsis.
Helps
Okay.
in morning paracelsus.
Mhm.
Excellent in release.
Relieve.
Sorry. Excellent to relieve abdominal gas. Must add to
Dishes.
that causes gas like chickpeas and cauliflower.
Okay. And then the
Comments.
comments.
Must never be used raw. To be used in tatka,
Yeah.
which with ghee or oil, mixed with water and applied over belly to relieve cramps due to gas.
Wow, I never heard that. That's like great. So really, if you had cramps, I mean, and you mix that with that and put it over your belly, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and let's see. Asafoetida. So that's called as asafoetida in English. Hing is a fine brown powder, which Baba uses frequently, but in small quantities. He'll add maybe half a teaspoon of hing to food for 100. Half a teaspoon for food for 100. The function is medicinal, but the spice is a poison if you use too much of it. Baba says hing destroys the germs in food and keeps certain foods, such as beans and Brussels sprouts, from causing gas. The taste is nondescript and the smell is awful. If you can't find hing or don't want to use it, you can easily leave it out. Right? And hing is the one that's always table here, so you'll see it as we come into once we get into the kitchen.
But you didn't pretend them what you found out about him with area.
That hing actually has gluten.
But it was only that particular company. Because then we did find hing, that one we're using right now.
Yeah, the one that we use here is gluten-free, but usually like most hing is all with gluten. So like if you go to an Indian restaurant, you can assume that they're using a non-gluten-free for sure.
What else is in here?
Because hing is a
That I don't
resin.
know.
It's a resin from a tree.
It's a resin from a tree?
So it's like, so if you buy it pure, it's like a rock. So they grind it and then mix it
And make it into the powder.
non-poisonous with flour. Usually that's what they mix it with.
Well, that would be where the gluten comes in.
And I do have to say on that note with the hing, we went down to a restaurant in New York City, which was a Michelin star restaurant, and it was an Indian restaurant, and the chef came out and she said, I just want to let you know, like I have celiac, and I'm like, I can't have any gluten-free. He goes, we will make sure to leave the hing out of your food. So the cook, obviously, he knew that the hing had gluten in it. So, yeah, amazing. Who would ever think that that little thing there has gluten in it? You know what I mean?
So
At home you just
interesting
put a
because,
pinch, no?
What? At home, you just put a pinch. Yeah, very little.
but I can't stand to be around it. It's so
The-
interesting, I had no idea it had gluten in it. I just,
Right? Yeah. Dur darshan, we say. Darshan from a distance. Yes.
A spoon of mustard seeds. A spoon of mustard seed, tablespoon. A spoon of oil, edible oil. And a pinch of hing. If taken during diarrhea, it stops diarrhea.
Okay.
Very effective.
Okay. Did everybody get that? So black mustard
Dr. Tushar, forever.
Should have known that, but you're gonna.
Experience it. Correct address. The best.
Okay, Tushar.
So who would like to go with the next one, which is haldi? Raise your hand, who would like to go with the next one? I thought this was going to be an interactive process here. I was like, let it not be boring with me just narrating them all out. What?
I'll
Here.
give it a shot. I'll let you down.
There you go.
Okay, nice and loud so we can hear you. We're on.
Okay, here we go. Don't mind. No, Aldi. Properties, heating. Advantages, antioxidant, antibiotic, analgesic, anti-inflammatory, regulates blood sugars. It's a combination of amla and haldi. Dry powder with fresh or grated, or fresh grated powder, in equal portions. You have it before meals and an excellent medicine for diabetes. Comments? It can be used as a local analgesic, antiseptic for wounds, stops bleeding when applied on cuts, and is excellent as a first aid.
Thank you, Madhu. So Baba says, turmeric is sometimes known as a poor man's saffron because it will color food the same golden yellow for a fraction of the cost. It has a very pleasant and bitter flavor. Most of the yellow in Baba's sauces is from turmeric. It is a root, usually used as a dried powder. Be careful when you use it. Turmeric can easily take over a dish. It purifies the blood. Now, a couple of things here with turmeric. So one, as we know today, we see that turmeric is everywhere. There's turmeric pills, there's turmeric that comes fresh in jars that with a, what do you call it, like with an injection kind of thing, and you can like inject it into your mouth and get, I was getting that from Dr. Paul Hutchins. He had that, fantastic, and the great turmeric shots. You get the turmeric shots that come in the little glass jars at the health food stores. Anti-inflammatory, I think we all know that that's what it is, but also with turmeric, one thing to keep in mind is that also it stains your clothes. So definitely stay far away from it, and it stains the dish towels. So that's another thing. So beware when you're using it, and just always start off with a little bit, because even in the tofu scramble that we'll do today, we'll add turmeric to the white tofu, but we'll make sure not to add too much of it so that it doesn't change the whole flavor into like a whole turmeric tofu kind of thing. There's just enough in there to kind of shift the color a bit to make it look kind of like tofu eggs or
What
tofu
is
scrambles. Yes.
cutting boards?
What?
Even stained your cutting
Stained your
boards.
cutting boards. Thanks, Corinne. Yes, Gobi.
What is amla?
Amla, Gouda, would you like to share?
Gooseberry.
Gooseberry, like gooseberry jam in England. Yeah, yes, Lawaji.
Haldi also is in puja.
Okay. So we use a lot of haldi and puja also, right? So when they do the kumkum and yeah, and the haldi.
And chunas.
Lime. Like haldi, turmeric mixed with lime mixed. But it's
Everybody get that?
not as easy as Lavaji is saying.
Right.
We've tried in Shanti Hastakala to make it.
To make it.
It's not really been, we're still trying. We want to make, because most Indian kumkum now is all chemicals, which makes it
Leaves the
black
mark.
and doesn't come off. The only way to check it is it smells of turmeric, and then when it's fresh, you wash your hand, it comes right off. When it's chemical, like you see in Swaziland people, it's all red. It's color.
And what makes the red in kumkum?
Lime.
Lime is red?
Yeah.
That's what you just said, the combination of the turmeric and the lime makes the kumkum and makes it red.
Lime as in the thing that Indians eat with tobacco.
Oh.
That lime.
The white lime?
The white lime.
Yeah.
But wherever, again, it's yes, Niyata has a question.
No, I wanted to add turmeric. I wanted to vouch to its healing qualities because I run barefoot, so I get lots and lots of cuts on my feet. And if I put a paste, generous turmeric with water, and just have it on there for a long time, it heals so fast you wouldn't believe that I can run back on it.
Oh, great, thank
What
you.
do you have when you have a cold?
I have a cold. Turmeric in the milk. Milk, yeah, hot milk with turmeric, and then it takes out whatever the infection is. It draws it out. It's kind of like in Germany how they have those paste, the mud, and it draws it out. The turmeric does the same thing. Doesn't always taste so good going down, but it definitely pulls it out. Yes.
And since we mentioned the staining of the clothes, the monks of the Indian subcontinent get the orange color from turmeric, because in olden days they used to take the white rags, and then the mendicants used to dip it in water and kumquat and haldi. And that's how the monks today have orange.
Oh, okay, wow.
So
That's one way. There's other ways too.
Okay,
So
okay. Oh,
I've
thank
seen
you for that.
Haridwar they use a rock also.
They use a what?
A rock. It's a
Okay.
gelu.
Okay, yes. Anybody else on turmeric? Okay, so who would like to read the next item on the list? Yes, Robiana.
Okay, spice, methi seeds, property heating, advantages, reduces abdominal gas, good to combine with foods that produce gas, anti-diabetic, helps relieve constipation. Comments, excellent for winters, backache, joint pains, soak overnight and boil in the morning and drink as tea to lose weight.
Thank you. Methi is a small seed. When it's yellow, it has a slightly bitter but a very pleasant taste. When it's brown or black, it's very bitter and not at all good. Unfortunately, there are always some dark seeds mixed in with the light, so methi must be cleaned carefully before it is used. Just pour it out on a flat tray and pick out the dark seeds one by one. Baba always cooks with methi. He never just grinds it and adds it to food raw. It is a mild stimulant. It is used to treat fevers and help relieve gas. So methi for us here, most of the time you'll see it in the curry, right? Most of the times we use it in curry. So otherwise we don't tend to use it very much here. We probably in the winters, after reading all of this, we should probably add it a bit more into our winter diet.
We had bhajjas yesterday.
We had what?
Not seeds, but methi
The methi
bhajjas.
bhajjas, yeah.
I use methi in all of this.
You use what? You use methi a lot?
In every food. Every dal, cauliflower, everything.
Okay. Oh, great.
And they can use it, also they can use in rice.
Methi and rice. Okay.
No, a little bit just.
The methi
seeds? Methi seeds.
The methi seeds. Okay.
What's
So you
the
just
English
do that. Methi fenugreek. Okay, so next, who would like to go next? Raise your hand. Oh, come on, you guys.
I'll go, I can read this.
Like, up and like,
Please.
you know, like
I
what?
don't have my glasses, but I'll read ginger.
Here.
Read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The spice is ginger. The property is heating. The advantages are appetizer, digestive, reduces gas. Good for nausea and motion sickness. It's good for a lot of other things too, right?
Right, yeah, do you want to add anything to that?
Basically, in the US, we adopt some sort of something and everybody embraces it. And ginger is the new go-to food for everything. For the bones, for arthritis, for sickness, for sore throats, for, what else? Cookies. It's just a wonder food.
And you know what, as we're going over each of these spices and stuff and hearing about everything that's in them, I mean, again, what happens? I mean, I think we can all become filled with a heart of gratitude because we have that in our daily cooking here. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We don't have to go keep a bunch of different things of pills of any of this. It's already infused in our daily cooking here. So we're lucky because we automatically get all of this. Really, right? Right. And much more.
And I think if you tell Raki to do a more comprehensive, because this was a quick, I think you would get all that what she said. Because I think
Yeah, we'll add it to the cookbook.
is used for arthritis, definitely for eating.
And we get it in a tasty format because otherwise, as pills or as standalones, it doesn't have this, you know.
Yeah,
it's,
boring.
yeah.
And like some people won't eat, but I don't mind eating ginger raw, sliced ginger. It burns a lot.
In Argentina, you get the best ginger with sugar on it.
Candied
The candied
ginger.
ginger. Theirs is like the best. The ginger is so potent and so like delicious. It's like
So shall I
really, really
ginger
nice.
raw? Yeah,
Jaggery and ghee.
Huh?
Ginger powder
Yep.
with ghee and jaggery. If you mix and make the balls, it is very good in winter for your body.
Okay, good. Let's remember that, Prabal, for winter. Yeah.
Soup.
Sugar.
No, I'm serious. I want to
It's noted here in Dahlia Seeds comments.
embrace
Soot.
the, what?
That's
Yeah.
what in Dahlia Seeds, soot, that's what Tushar just described.
भक्ति में भी बताएगा दोपहर को.
Fresh ginger is a bulbous root that is available in many ethnic grocery stores. It's worth going to some effort to find. Baba uses it in many, many dishes. He always grinds it before he puts it in the food. The powdered dry ginger sold in supermarkets is a very poor substitute. Baba uses the dried variety, but as if it were a different spice. It can go into tea or into garam masala. Ginger is a mild stimulant, good for digestion. So who would like to go with the next item?
And I should just give them a little bit of knowledge of the different kinds of ginger. Because he buys at the Chinese store and looking at that.
Tea.
Only because he's found.
The best ginger you can get is at Chinese store. It's a tender and has no
Less strength?
less strength.
Okay.
And the second one is at Indian store. And the last restaurant depot, because it comes in bulk, so it's third grade.
Okay.
The best one is I think Chinese.
Chinese.
It's like a $5 or $6 a pound.
Okay.
And it's spicy.
And fresh, and it
Spicy.
has a lot, I think it also has a lot of juice, doesn't it?
Yeah, juice.
Like the
And you
juice
can just
comes
break
out.
it like
So perfect for ginger tea. Perfect for the ginger lemon honey tea. Perfect.
Thank you.
Because it yields a lot of liquid. Yeah.
Yeah, we got.
Okay, Ambika.
This is the red chili. Short. It's heating and increases the digestive fire and appetite. And in comments is to be restricted in people with pitta or warm weather.
Okay. And here it says, it's put in the cookbook as cayenne, lal mirchi buki. Cayenne is a dark red powder made from dry red chilies. It's hot, very hot, and a reasonable substitute for fresh or dry chilies if you can't find them. So that's really all he says about.
Can I have a question?
Yes.
So red chili, and under comments it says to be restricted in people with pitta or warm weather. But isn't the South more noted for the hotter food?
Yes.
More
South
chili?
India.
Yes.
She means South India or South America?
South everything. And that's
South
where they
India.
make the food hotter, right? South of the border
There
is
are warmer
next.
climates.
Not South Argentina.
Anyway, I just wondered if that's counter.
I would think what I've told you, and sometimes it's people are ignorant, and so if I grow up in a culture and a tradition or a group of people who do something, I just do it without thinking of its properties.
Also maybe, I don't know if this is correct, but we're talking about worms and food and having to control that. Maybe the chili also acts as a kind of,
preservative. Sounds like it.
Like, not just a preservative, but when you're cooking, it kills that.
It kills all that bacteria.
It's kind of like
Ashoka's chili powder, that is for color, Ashoka's chili powder is for...
Yeah, we've been going over that because we've seen the...
And there are so many different kinds of chilies. I mean, like today which I use for upma and all that, and some people when they come, when I serve the food, they see even 2 chilies and they are just like, jump,
And think that it's going to be spicy.
But even if you, that kind of chilies, if you add 10 of that, it just it's like called Kashmiri mirchi.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with anything. It just gives you
flavor.
And it adds color to the food. Instead of getting a color like Baba said, haldi is like just to add like saffron, but it will not give you the exact taste of saffron. It will just make the food yellow.
So the same thing with these types of chilies.
Like this, that's the thing in there, which I bought from India. I mean, I can just put 4 or 5 tablespoons, it doesn't make anything. It just.
And what are those other ones, the ones that are the dry chilies that we eat on sometimes?
Those are from South India.
And what?
They especially used for sambar.
For sambar.
They're like round thing.
Okay. No, not the round red ones.
Yeah?
I'm talking about that other ones, Bojo Namkeen Mala.
The dry fried ones.
The dry fried ones, those are also another.
Those are also South.
Huh?
Sri Lanka and Tamil.
Sri Lanka and Tamil. Okay, Tamil Nadu.
Those are the only 2 places.
Okay.
But they're stuffed with the yogurt and salt and all of this.
And then you add the Mexican chilies to it and the Italian peppers to it. I mean, it's just,
I think
it's
there's
so vast.
100 plus varieties of chili.
That's what's so great.
The hottest chili is in Assam.
Assam. Okay.
That's the,
And is that, are they green chilies or red chilies?
This, but they are the hot. They're the number 1.
The ghost chilies.
The which ones?
Is he saying green? Are they green?
Assam.
They're red, little bit red, but they are in Assam only. This time in this.
Oh, I was going to buy you a jar.
No. I
Green, yellow, and then they become red. Okay, so kind of like bell peppers. They start out green, then they go, and then...
Devyani, did you say what kind of chili is in there?
Yeah, this one here, this is not really this isn't like a real strong dry red chili powder. This is more like the one that's like...
Is that like what he used yesterday?
Yeah, exactly.
So are these
So it's not that spicy.
Yeah.
So I think if it's spicy and you take it in, you sneeze.
Yeah.
And is that cayenne? That's not cayenne.
This is not cayenne, yeah.
Kashmir.
This is the Kashmiri dry red chilies, yeah.
Which is the chilies that when you're in a room with it and you breathe in and you...
Sneeze.
No, it hurts your throat.
Some are when it's the dry red chilies, if they're doing it in oil, just the whole dry red chilies, that can permeate everywhere, and same with the green chilies. Depending on the strength of the green chilies, if they're the shorter ones or if they're the longer ones. Because sometimes we'll have the same thing there, or like if I'm handling it, I'll be like, I can't chop these green chilies because they're gonna make my hand like burn, and by the time it takes to get the burning out, so like you can tell just by when you open up the bag, it's like, whoa, this thing, keep it at a distance.
Even when I'm washing dishes and the trays come through,
you can smell it on it,
and it's like,
you get like
exactly.
In Swami Komalananda does is an actual burn from the fire or whatever. She puts green chili.
Put it up.
Yeah, she did that.
But
I can read the next one. Curry patta.
Oh.
That's the enthusiasm I was looking for. Okay.
Curry patta, probably cooling, anti-diabetic, cholesterol reducing, anti-diarrheal, antioxidant, anti-ulcer, antimicrobial, antibacterial. Comments, excellent to make chutney.
We all know that, because we get that in its abundance in the potato waters that Ashok makes, and we also get it in all of the chutneys that him and Prabhu makes. So we're real, and like I said before, the best ones, those are the curry leaves. So curry leaves, and the best ones come from Ramachandra, and I just spoke to him 2 days back for Diwali, and I said, I was just sharing with everybody in the kitchen about how fragrant you're. He goes, I'm sending you a new shipment. I'm like, yes! So for the last 2 weeks of Guruda's visit, we'll have the good curry patta. So on that one, curry leaves, neem leaves are a little smaller and a little more pungent than bay leaves. Remember we saw Ashok use bay leaf the other day? If you can't find neem, you can substitute the bay leaves. You should look around before you do, however. Baba took a walk in Miami and found a neem tree in the neighborhood where he was staying. Naturally, fresh leaves are the best. Baba usually sautés them and then either grinds them before he adds them to the food or boils them afterwards. Eating neem leaves can combat skin disorders. So, anybody having that, what's that, psoriasis or what's that other one?
Eczema.
Eczema, yeah. Give that one a try. Next, we've got a few more, guys, and we should try to wrap it up in about 5 minutes. Yes, chitkala, yay.
Oh.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Haiti. Sorry, no tengo my glasses. Reduce blood sugar, digestive, antioxidant, and common is mixed with honey and lick to relieve short throat.
And I have to say, during that Navratri just now, right, we had Navratri, and there was a day or two in there when I just started to get a cold, and out of nowhere, Dolly comes up, Dolly and Pranav, and she goes, take this. And I'm like, well, what is it? And she goes, cinnamon pills. I never saw cinnamon capsules. She comes up with this jar and leaves me with these cinnamon pills. So I said, okay, she goes, here, take one. I said, okay. So I took one of the cinnamon pills, and then I could feel like the whole smell of cinnamon. I'm like, normally you smell like cream or soap or whatever. I felt like whatever I was doing, it was like I was in this this aura of cinnamon, and I'm like, God, I wonder if people think I'm smelling like cinnamon here. And she's like, and then when she left, she's like, keep the whole bottle. She goes, it's really great for for sore throats and stuff. So let's try that one next time. Or take cinnamon, the cinnamon sticks, and just launch one in there. Yes.
You know, I've noticed nowadays also many toothpastes have cinnamon flavor.
Yeah. Yep.
Cinnamon, fennel,
Yep,
all these
exactly.
things. I mean, they don't give credit, but that's the properties are borrowed from here.
Yeah.
Naki says toothpaste should be bitter and not sweet.
Bitter and not sweet. Okay.
So the
Gurudev is definitely our expert on toothpaste. Because I'm telling you this, so this is another trivia. I'm telling you this because whenever we travel around the world and we go into all these little pharmacies and chemists and grocery stores, anything, or health food stores, it's always we head to those sections with those medicinal things and try to, so that we always have a cupboard that's filled with everything from around the world, the tiger balm from Singapore, this thing from that thing, arnica from there, whatever it is in, I'm trying to think of that, not the manuka honey, there's another one from Australia that we use, the bee pollen from there, so like all these different things to keep for, as remedies, natural remedies, but the toothpaste thing, he's always looking for new toothpaste, and then usually by the time, or the end of a visit, it'll be like, there'll be this much left in it, and it'll be like, why don't you try this? So yeah, he's definitely curly.
No, recently, Guruji gave me one new one, Himalayan salt.
Which new one?
Himalayan salt, when we went to your tent.
Toothpaste. What?
Only right. It's a Himalayan salt. Yes, Himalayan salt.
Yeah, in India they have the neem sticks, and they go walking around the parks like this in Delhi. They go walking around the parks, and they got their neem stick in their mouth. It's like, okay, that's an interesting.
It has both. It flosses and because like a dog bone.
Oh, it has
the stick starts
getting soft.
Whatever you use.
No, also shredding. Yeah. So you get the.
And it's good for the gums too, right?
Shanti Astakala makes like tooth powder.
Yeah, like.
No, we used last year the cow manure, right?
Charcoal.
And what was the, tell them what the thing
Okay, I
was,
used
the
the wrong one.
eggplant. There was somebody, a lady named Leela. Her name is Leela, and she was from Hawaii, and she used to send to Gurudev like an eggplant, dried eggplant with what else was the
salt and
eggplant,
I still have
salt.
it in Mumbai.
and like in a little packet, like all home ground, and as a toothpaste, that thing was something
Tooth powder.
really different. What?
Tooth powder.
And as a tooth
No.
powder.
Because powder is powder and paste is like what you
Yeah, no, this was a powder.
So what was the eggplant to do with?
The eggplant was like a
She
dried
didn't
eggplant.
remember. I asked her when I talked to her recently, like a year ago, and I said to her, I said, Chrissy, can I, because that, I still have a little bit in Mumbai, and it's the best yet I've ever used. But she's like, I don't remember.
There must be something bitter because you can cook
Soda
it.
vinegar.
Israelis cook eggplant, like starting off by putting it straight on the flame, like that to get the bitter out of the skin.
Yeah, and we do the same thing with like bengan barta.
Oh.
They take the whole eggplant,
Right.
they put on this thing, they make it black, and then
There
it's
you go.
black on all the other side. And when you take out the
That's just
eggplant from
divine.
inside, and then you
Eggplant
add
takes 3 weeks to digest.
what?
The
Takes
seeds
3
are-
weeks. Wow.
Bay leaf, heating.
We forgot Baba's words.
Oh, I thought you were.
No, Can't forget him. Cinnamon is the bark of a tree. It is sold as sticks or powder in American markets. Baba uses the powder in sweet foods and drinks, and he sometimes cooks the whole sticks in rice. Contrary to Western custom, he doesn't remove them from the food before serving it. When they're boiled a little, they're quite good to eat. Cinnamon is a mild stimulant and it aids in digestion. Okay, next.
Baba, what just bay leaf?
Bay leaves. Property, heating, digestive, helps respiratory conditions,
improves hair,
anti-inflammatory. No comments.
Right on task, every time, all the time. There's nothing about bay leaves, there's nothing about bay leaves here in the book, so we'll
Because
jump
they
right
mix it
ahead.
up with curry patta, remember?
The curry patta,
They
yeah.
mix it up with curry patta.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
In Argentina, the bay leaves also are good to digest legumes and all that.
To
usually
digest legumes.
Yeah,
Okay.
when you cook chickpeas, you can add some bay leaves into the water.
Okay, and that helps to.
Yeah.
Same with beans, right?
Yes.
I'll do nutmeg.
Okay, go ahead, go Pete.
No, I'll do it very fast. Nutmeg, property heating, relieves pain, treats insomnia, helps digestion. Comments, great to add to milk desserts like kheer.
Okay, and here, Jaifal Buki. Nutmeg is a sweet spice. Bhavan often grinds it his own from the whole kernels, which are about the size of acorns. It improves appetite and digestion and helps relieve gas. Use it in small quantities. In large doses, it's a poison. 2 kernels are enough to cause death.
Right.
Really?
Oh, you know, this is bad, okay.
Because those are big,
In
right?
prison,
Those-
they do, drug addicts that get into prison, in the Malcolm X wrote this in a book, they used to grate nutmeg as an alternative to drugs.
Great nutmeg is an alternative. Wow,
Baba
I've
used to
never
talk
heard.
about it. Baba and Claudia Long Hall had a big discussion about this in open.
Okay, who, do you remember the
Claudia
conversation?
Long.
And?
Jaifal.
I was too young to understand it. I never done drugs.
Jaifal.
Understand what they were talking.
You smoke that?
What?
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I
they
wonder
smoked
if
it.
it's in the company of the scissor.
It was because they couldn't find it, you know, and so that's interesting that it can kill you, because that's what it was.
It says it treats insomnia, so it must have a barbiturate quality, probably is why people would use it as a drug,
Is that, okay.
right? Puts you down.
Put you down and out.
Tushar,
Okay,
come on.
next,
Tushar.
lychee.
Cardamom,
Okay.
property cooling. Advantage is digestive, good for flame even though it is cooling. Can be added to chai in summers. Ginger would be better in cold weather. Comments. Great to add to milk desserts like kheer as it reduces phlegm, aggravating quality of milk.
Okay. And here, cardamom is a seed pod, green or white, which is usually used ground. You grind the whole pod, not just the seed. White cardamom is slightly sweeter than green, but you can use them interchangeably. Cardamom is the main sweet spice in Baba's cooking. It's delicious in tea and coffee, in certain desserts like shri and kheer, and in sweet vegetable and bean dishes. Baba sometimes cooks the whole pod with rice, boiling the spice with the grain. It can also be used as a breath freshener. Just put a pod in the back of your mouth and suck on it. Cardamom stimulates the appetite, relieves gas, and tones the stomach.
There's black ones, right?
Yeah. From the inside.
Huh?
Black cardamom.
Yeah, those big ones, right, that we use in the palau and things like that. In the what?
That you love.
Yeah, I do like those things. Okay, next. Who would like to go next? Yes, Shanti.
Mint. Property, cooling. Advantages, digestive, relieves gas, increases bile flow, calming effect on mind, improves thyroid function. Comments, good for motion sickness, nausea, can be used as a tea or in chutney.
Okay, thank you. And I don't have anything in here on mint. So on the back of the page, who wants, we got 4 left. Let's knock it out in 4 minutes or less. Hello, Rogana.
Okay, fennel, cooling, digestive, good for pitta, reduces water retention, great for people with irritable bowel. Chew after food, a cold infusion of fennel and cardamom makes an excellent cooling drink for summers.
Nice, yeah, thank you. And the next one.
Baba, no Baba?
No.
Has anybody here eaten fresh fennel?
Yes.
Yeah, cook with it a lot.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, Vivek, maybe come on.
Black pepper, heating, appetizer, digestive, expectorant, kills worms, reduces fat, and it is not very heating, therefore a better substitute to red chili.
Okay.
But
Very
it can
nice.
still be spicy, right? You can
Huh?
put too much.
Yeah, it won't. And also according to the strength of the black pepper. I mean, there's so many different versions. If you buy it fresh, if you buy it, depending upon which
From Kerala.
which country you get it from, I mean, it can be quite spicy. So definitely start with less and then add to it. Excuse me?
I chew sometimes,
Chew,
but it's
okay.
spicy.
Next. 2
Okay,
more.
who's not gone? Vinay.
Ajwain. Property, heating. Stimulates digestion, good for respiratory ailments, abdominal cramps, gas, joint pains. Can be had with a pinch of black salt to relieve gas.
Okay.
What is it?
Arjwain. It looks similar to like the cumin, but it's a little bit different. We'll show you in the
It's a funny
kitchen.
looking seed.
Yeah, we'll show you when we go into the kitchen, huh?
Celery seeds?
Here, this is it right here.
Yeah, I think so. It's called celery seeds, but celery as in.
You can smell it. Smell it.
That's it, celery seeds.
Yeah.
We used to make water for you, remember, every morning with this.
With
We
this.
soaked it overnight.
And what was the advantage?
We boiled it.
For gas.
What was the
We boiled
Stop
it.
it. Come on.
You said that it gets rid of.
Everybody, it's all about gas in the end. This is what it's boiling down to.
Can
Everything
you
is
talk to them because black salt has come up here? Can you tell them about pink salt? White
Yeah, hold
salt?
on one sec. I just want to go back to what the.
What does it do? Just get to the
It
point.
takes out the fat that you can with exercise. Takes out all the.
Okay, so Arch1 is very, very good for
And
that.
you did it for like a month and a half.
And got very good results.
Yes.
It's called celery seeds, I think, in English.
But Ambika think it might be oregano.
It tastes.
No, it's not oregano.
I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't, it's very strong.
Yeah.
That much I remember, very, very strong.
So basically spicing up your life for gas and digestive issues.
Exactly.
Do you think
Well,
that's
that's
because
what
the diet
Ayurveda
is...
talks about. It's
So
just learning. That's why, what yesterday I think I was telling you, when you make chai, ultimately it boils down to your touch. You have to get sensitive to that. That's why when you talk about like being fearless. Fearless is, it's not always about taking a spoon. It's being able to put your hand in. Like if you see old cooks, I'm sure, like Mexico, Argentina, all over the world, good cooks will probably just take, boom.
But even if you have good digestion, you don't have that much sickness, right?
Correct.
All your sickness.
Well, I told the way, but I think we'll learn before we get to this thing called in Ayurveda and also in Chinese medicine, undigested food. So all of you do, it's all undigested food. I was surprised when Gurpit told me that 20 years ago.
you're drinking milk for a cold, that's odd to me, because that would be a phlegmy thing.
No, it says somewhere, no, didn't it say it reduces the phlegm, but that's for cardamom.
Hot milk with turmeric.
Right, but the hot milk is the bit that I found odd, because that was milk that's phlegm producing for a cold.
Yeah, somehow.
No, but in India, they allow, like the cream is always taken out, mostly because ghee and butter and all that. So milk you get is minus the 3% fat.
Okay.
And it's boiled also. But like Raki will tell you, like you can go for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and if it persists, then you cut the milk out because then the body is not able to digest.
And again, I would probably go back to, again, the whole thing about moderation. It's not like I'm definitely not one who drinks milk every single day with turmeric. It's like only just once in a, like a blue moon, you know? I mean, yeah, do we have the chai every day? And we have like, you know, so sometimes we have to like
a cold every day. I mean,
but yeah, and sometimes we have to step off the whole milk track too. Because sometimes you can start feeling when it's rising in your body and it's just getting, it's too much. You can start feeling all the different things that could start to arise if you don't like quickly say, okay, now I need to like put milk to the side. It needs to be over here for a little while. I need to
but also you have milk when you don't have dinner. You don't have dinner.
Right.
One or the other.
Also, in that naturopath Dr. Ortega visited, he showed undigested food as a source of all disease. Colon, building up in the colon.
One last one and we're done. One last one.
Yeah, I'm just saying these two ahead.
Yeah, just clove.
Clove, clove, clove.
Ashok has to do clove.
Where is the clove? Clove is eating, improves digestion and reduce again gas. The whole
No,
thing.
it doesn't say reduce. It doesn't say reduce. Oh,
The whole thing points to the gas.
I went straight to the comment and I'm like, what are you saying? It reduces gas, not again. Okay, go ahead.
It's like eat, pray and love.
Reduce gas. Pray gas. Okay, got it. And the last, and what is the comment?
Relieves toothache.
Toothache, relieves the toothache. Yeah, clove, a lot of people you see if you're like, especially if people are traveling like internationally and they don't have a chance to get to a dentist, everybody will just try to keep saying, take cloves, put it behind there, numb it, and get it like working in there so it takes some of the swelling down, and then when you get home, then deal with all your dental things, but don't try to do it like somewhere in the middle of hardware or something like that.
And clove is also good when you have sore throat.
Ashok and trouble.
Thank you very much.
Before we all proceed to the...
Put it in my folder.
So everyone, I think you can leave your little snack bags, your Anaku Prasad here on the chairs. Anyone who would like me to hold on to your spice up your life list till we... No, we're not starting on all that now.
I'm seeing if it has all the spices.
It does. Guaranteed.